there's an obligation on HR people to think proactively and from a futures mindset around what is happening around the fourth industrial revolution. Structure in particular is simply an envelope within which work gets done. And the problem is that in life and in corporate life, we wait for crises. And then we have a crisis, we don't have a fit-for-purpose structure anymore, our people don't have the right skills. What do? We go into a reorganization. And that reorganization creates deep emotional angst, creates freeze in the organization. It leads to a lot of good people leaving, all of those things. So why is it that our HR people aren't thinking about the future in a strategic way, having the conversations with leaders around what this implies, what its impact on jobs is going to be, what skills are required at different levels, how jobs are going to be impacted, so we can proactively train people up, we can proactively bring new skills in. You know, as much as we like to create compelling cases for HR, the bottom line is that HR is still about having the right person in the right place at the right time with the right skills and the right mindset. And the bottom line is those requirements are changing. If we don't understand them, we're never going to proactively get the right proposition together. When you're looking for an HR person, look for an HR person who fundamentally understands business, who fundamentally understands strategy, understands what accelerates and sustains strategic execution. And so that there's a coherent language in the organization between strategy and organizational design. So one of the bridges is this issue of capability. What capabilities do we require? Well, an HR person needs to be able to sit in a strategy session and argue and debate around capability with a full backing of the people in the room, that they have the right, first of all, to have that conversation. But secondly, with a deep understanding of the business and its strategic imperatives to actually make it have sense. And so my second part would be to say, not only look for people with business skills, but then apply them effectively. So when you are having a major IT intervention, for example, your HR person has to have the confidence to interrogate what that means for the organization and what it means for the people of the organization, and to look at it both from an ethical perspective, a number of different lenses, an ethical lens, a workplace lens, an optimization lens, an engagement lens, and really make sure that HR gives not only the right advice, but puts the right kind of strategic frameworks and operational frameworks in place to deliver on the value that people have potentially to contribute. Some of the things I would say start doing is start deeply understanding the strategy and the context of your organization. Spend the time to understand that. Have the conversations, build the strategic frameworks and links into HR. And then secondly, understand the future. The future is not going to be the same as the past. The more understanding you have about technology, technological change, artificial intelligence or cognitive automation as it's now known, the more you understand those concepts, the more you can make sense of them in your own organization. But if you're not taking the time to develop yourself, to become a master in those areas, how do you interpret them for the organization? So I think those are some of the key things that I would say start doing. And I'm going to say the stop one is going to be controversial. I'm going to say stop talking about employee engagement. Employee engagement is not a strategic differentiator in organizations going forward. It's the ticket to the game. It's the most basic thing that you put in place. If you haven't got engaged employees because you haven't taken away the barriers to engagement, then you really haven't been doing your job for a long time as an HR practitioner. Think beyond engagement to deep purpose, deep meaning, deep connection, and think about the social side of the enterprise. You know, informal networks get more done in organizations often than meetings do. And yet we have no understanding how those informal networks and connections are created. Let's understand, because if we can get them working really well, we can get great results.
I would say HR should continue doing currently.
I think what is working is the adoption of technology by HR. You know, there's a lot of that happening, and I think that's great. I think it's a little bit like the dog chasing, you know, after the postman. Once you've caught the postman, what do? And I think HR needs to think beyond the technology to what their expanded and differentiated role is going to be, and what skills and competencies they need to actually deliver on that effectively. Because that's where the real contribution is coming from. You can't talk about lifelong learning for everybody else out there. It's lifelong learning for you in a new role that you're going to have to play. And you're going to need to play it with confidence. Nobody says to the chief financial officer in an organization, we're questioning why we do budgeting. So, you know, why is it that HR disciplines are still questioned? Is it because we don't actually have the gravitas? Is it because we don't take time to know the business well? What is the shadow side of HR that we ignore and that we need to build deep capability within? We're actually the Institute for People Management. We're not the Institute for Personnel Management as it was. That implies that we have a responsibility for people beyond merely employees in organizations. And the gig economy as we go forward talks to contractors, it talks to consultants, it talks to a whole variety of people who are delivering value for organizations. They're not on the org chart. They don't fit any job description. So we can't exclude our understanding of them as part of a broader ecosystem that actually delivers value in our organization. So we also potentially need to expand our horizons in terms of how we think about our role in people and influencing and integrating and aligning the efforts of people across an ecosystem or organization.
So with the whole thing about the fourth industrial revolution is that this era is firstly inescapable. So it's upon us and it's here. To a point where some make an argument that a part of us is already augmented. And how we know we might already be augmented is, why do I have this sitting next to me? And when was the last time you spent your day without this and you still felt good? So a part of us is already augmented. We are already digitized in a way. So this here controls who you speak to, what you speak about, what you have access to, what you share. Everything about your life is controlled by this gadget. In fact, this gadget has your whole being. If a person loses their phone and they don't have a backup on iCloud, it's a big deal. A part of them has been lost. I believe in that argument, strongly, that a part of us is already augmented. So the revolution is here and it's here to stay. How you now use it for your own advantage, it's about strategies that you're going to put in place to collaborate, co-create, use it to reimagine and reinvent, and in fact, as HR practitioners specifically, recalibrate a bit and think about our role as humans in the world. So my colleague and I today were really sharing about what does this reimagining of the future, the workforce of the future, not just the workforce of the future, but organizations and environments that will make human beings to thrive versus human beings to produce work. How might we use this fourth industrial revolution to create that?
Definitely, I completely agree and concur with everything that Dr. Puleng was saying. I think the real great opportunity that we have as HR practitioners is to leverage on the power that the fourth industrial revolution brings, because it allows us the opportunity to be creative, It gives us the opportunity to automate a lot of the things that would take up our normal time, automate some of the mundane tasks, especially from an HR perspective. A lot of the things that we can be doing could be automated. And that gives us the opportunity to think about the aspects that become really important, such as employee engagement. How much or how welcome are we at work? How do we show up? How do we think creatively about new ideas that's going to solve for business challenges? And that opportunity is incredible because the fourth industrial revolution hasn't yet been defined. So it gives us an opportunity to co-create what that destiny is, what that future is. And that's why we said that this is the best time to be you.
I was just showing how easy it is to program. So using a little bit of my IT background, because I was in IT for 15 years, how easy it is to program something. So we talk about a lot about coding being a part of the skills that we need as essential as reading and writing. In this fourth industrial revolution, everybody speaks about it and it scares people off. And IT people think, oh my God, we're going to thrive. No, you don't even need to be educated to code, because I showed a simple one of an if statement. If X is blue, then provide a blue bag. If Y is X is green, provide a green bag. If X is white, then provide a white bag. Else, provide a brown bag. Full stop. So now the robot knows and will detect if the X is blue, they will provide a blue bag, and so on and so forth. So it's as simple as that. The whole programming thing, it's language that we use everywhere. It's just that, of course, it has its, like any other programming language, its own semantics. So I was showing how easy it is to sit back, think about your job, and think about the part that you could actually teach to a robot. Yeah, so if you're an HR practitioner, you do payrolls on the 25th of every month, and you pay 10 staff members X amount of money per staff member, and you deposit into a bank, blah, blah. You don't need to sit there and physically do it. Perhaps you could put an algorithm together. If name is Puleng Mahwadibe, deposit X amount of money into account Y. If name is Amir Suleiman, deposit Y amount of money into this account. You program it once. Then that's taken care of for the rest of your life. What does that provide you? Freedom to do other things that you can then engage fully and be interested in. Actually, these two employees of mine, how engaged are they? How can I energize them? How can we get more from them? So you can engage in other things that are more interesting, that only humans could, that are hard to program. So literally, we are all going to be charged with that task at some point in time, where you have to ask yourself a question of which part of my job is programmable. And when I said part of us is augmented already, is also a thing, the exercise we did about list 5 things that you usually say when you introduce yourself, and then later on introduce yourself to another person without using any of those 5 things. And people are, oh no, what am I going to say? I suddenly have to think. I suddenly have to apply my mind. And then you hear conversations moving from, I'm the head of business development, to, oh, I love dogs. I love swimming. Oh, I love sport. And then all of a sudden we're connecting in a completely different level. You start to think. So it's literally just mechanisms to get rid of and identify things that are programmable, mechanistic, systematic. Allow the robots to do that so much more efficiently. Trust me, that robot will do your payroll in a couple of seconds every day on the 25th without your help.
And one of the things that we need to do as HR practitioners is break our fear of words such as algorithms and maths, because we know that generally a lot of the HR people have a resistance or an internal insecurity about stuff like algorithms, or it belongs in computer science. But what it is, it's really just giving us a list of possible scenarios that we can look at, and if we accomplish those scenarios, we'd be able to. That moves on to the next question in terms of once we're able to automate those processes, it gives us an opportunity to use a higher intelligence that wasn't there before because we didn't really allow it in our previous jobs. We turned into machines in the last industrial revolutions where everything was systematic and procedural, and it didn't really require as much thought, creativity, imagination, because as we mentioned, you just sort of press enter or you press tick or you move it along the process line. But now once that's automated, it gives us an opportunity to think more creatively. When we bring it back to a recruitment challenge or aspect for consideration, we could look at a number of different things that AI will help us, and a number of things that's currently happening in industry. We see masses of applicants coming through on different organizations applying for jobs because there's aspects such as job scarcity in the market. We can now start to use AI tools to help us be much more intelligent in how we select and we recruit people. And we do that through aspects such as screening, through bringing in bots or algorithms to identify what's the passion of this individual, or how do we stimulate this individual's creativity. And we bring them in not based on the skill that would traditionally be written on a piece of paper, but bring them in for aspects such as cultural fit, initiative, intuition, attitude, creativity. And now using some of the tech that we have available, it gives us the opportunity to actually meet more people because we're screening more people. And that gives us a competitive advantage.
And just to add, it also boils back to the question that we addressed in the talk about how much of you is welcome at work. And the majority of people said 25%, and we get that wherever. I always start off my sessions with that question, 25% or less. And then you wonder, okay, so is HR then? We have been very successful in our ability to match a job specification with a CV, with specific skills. We are wonderful at that. But could we get more from our employees? Is that enough? In fact, if we are so wonderful at matching job specification and skill and qualifications, a bot can do that. It doesn't even need any human intervention because it means we can again go back to algorithms. if Paya's degree is HR, his master's, then blah blah, we can program it. Now we're saying elevating our roles as HR practitioners in the recruitment process to use our other senses. You know, there's a school of thought that I'm currently busy with because we're talking at Henley Business School about holistic learning. And we're saying 20% of the decisions that you make are influenced by your conscious mind. 80% comes from the subconscious and the unconscious space. And if you use my CV to address and my qualifications and my skilling and experience to address your needs, you are actually missing out on other layers of my subconscious, which can bring the magic. Because my subconscious is made of my stories, my experiences, my being, like who I am, what I love, where I thrive. Sometimes I thrive when there's a sound of water, I'm open, and so on and so forth. And it comes from the subconscious places, things, not usually things that I can sell or put on a CV. Yours as an HR practitioner is connect with me at that level and let those layers come out. So that, because sometimes, guess what, which is why they say sometimes that in everything 10% is the reality and 90% is attitude. Because sometimes you hire people who are amazingly skilled and have the right education. If they don't have a right attitude, they're not going to last, they're not going to be productive, they're not going to help your organization. Yeah, so at some point when I used to be IT manager at UCT, I used to say, I hire you based on your attitude more than your skill. It's easy to get a skill to the person with the right attitude, because we have seen amazingly skilled people with bad attitude, and it doesn't help the organization in any way. So connecting at that level, and it's hard to get algorithms for that. I'm sure we'll get there, because this machine learning and artificial intelligence is getting much more brilliant, but we still have time, we still have the grace to use that as our leverage. Because also I think it will take a long time for artificial intelligence to get there. By just us being together, the energy field around us, the neuroscience that happens between the two of us, the connection, that's why you will meet someone and you just say, I connect, they moved me, there was just something. It's your intuition, it's connecting at that subconscious level, and that's where we need to be. It cannot no longer be paper trail, like Amiri has said, cannot longer be about a paper trail activity. So I think it will lead us to such sophistication and a better way of being if we engaged at that level.
I can just add, and that's really what we do at Henley Business School. We try to have these discussions to bring people into a classroom, and to the point that we made on stage, we might not know all of the answers, but we're really great at facilitating and bringing in great minds to collectively come up with problems that we face. So Puleng does an excellent job in unlocking value or unleashing potential and asking really good questions, and to the point that I called a curiosity tutor where we come in and we bring in some really great people, like all of the people in the room, and we say, guys, what does the future look like? Let's reimagine it together, and let's come out with something that's gonna be or lead us to be the best people that we can be.
If HR practitioners have that in mind, that they are going to shift their employees from a current state to a desired state, doesn't matter what the context is, that is important for HR practitioners to keep in mind, is where do we want to go with this?
Let me pick it up there. That's always my approach. You have the current state of being, which could be a frustrating situation. The manager doesn't like it, the employee doesn't like it, there's tension, nothing is working. Define it, package it, understand it, and then move a bit on, and then this is the future state, this is the ideal future state we want to be in, and when we have achieved it, this is how we look like. Then go back and say, is it coaching that will take us there, or is it mentoring that will take us there, or is it training, and why? If HR managers can master that, because you are going to find that right intervention for the right situations deliver very good results. And sometimes you need a mixture of all this. And sometimes coaching comes right on top. When at the end, when everything has been done, the skills acquired, it's now just dealing with the dynamics. Then you give people coaching because they are flying already. That will be my approach.
And again, there, your health coaching or your wellness coaching comes in when if HR deploys something like that, and that is really to create that fertile ground for people to actually apply what has been their development or the training programs or whatever it might have been.
Yeah. So the role of HR is really to help to create common vision, common purpose, to really align all different stakeholders within an organization, from staff, management, leadership, shareholders, everyone to buy into same dream and same vision, and then apply different, interventions with different, stakeholders to promote that common purpose, a common goal, So it could be coaching, could be education, training, mentoring, counseling. I think it's about understanding the problem area first, doing a needs assessment, consulting with people, trying to understand what the problem is, and then designing that solution or goal, and developing intervention to achieve that, So yeah, it's problem-solving model, we can say.
I also mentioned inside that we often train managers in a format of coaching, a coaching language. We teach managers coaching language, basic skills. And I think from an HR practitioner perspective, I think every single HR practitioner, if they really truly understand what coaching is about and even learn those basic coaching conversation styles, it could help the HR fraternity to really engage their employees and motivate full and complete coaching as interventions within organizations.
I can just add, important thing is that coaching has to be like holistic. Approach has to be holistic. Should focus on all, intelligences. Physical level, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. So on physical level, it's very important that people are healthy, and if they're not healthy, then they will not be able to perform properly. If they don't know how to manage stress, and if they're overweight, if their energy levels are not great, So having that mastering that physical intelligence or PQ is very, very important. IQ or rational intelligence, that's where education and training comes from, and emotional and spiritual intelligence, that's where coaching and mentoring more comes from. Taking responsibility for problems. Tapping into your own inner power, and power from your heart and soul, and aligning yourself with the purpose, greater purpose,
And in fact, I understood. In fact, coaching is evolving. It's still being defined because there's this contestation between various types of coaching. There's executive coaching, there's life coaching. But to be honest with you, every time I coach people, I find myself touching on all aspects. It's because people are holistic. So HR must be able to educate the line management that you are coaching a person. And out of this person, you will get your benefits as a functioning person. But the benefit for this person might be something about their life. So it's holistic indeed, to support what you said.
Within the conference and the theme that's kind of filtered through the entire conference has been a lot around disruption within the HR space in the fourth industrial revolution, and these areas are coming at us thick and fast, and I think a part of that also talks to the automation of processes to enable and make things a lot easier for HR, and also to help them close that gap with the executive level to be a true HR business partner to the business. And I think for us what's become quite interesting within our particular space is the automation of systems within the assessment and the development space, which allows your recruitment and your development and your talent management process to be more streamlined and to be more accurate in terms of your predictions of whether a person's going to be successful in a role, or what future talent looks like that's coming into the business, which also enables your succession planning process. Well, I think for business, it's also trying to really understand within the organization, where does the talent and the potential lie? And by allowing HR to focus a little bit more on the talent conversation, a little bit more on the potential and the succession planning conversation, instead of spending too much time working their way through these processes, that enables them to help business make more effective decisions, and therefore your executive team to make a lot more effective strategic decisions. So I think that's really where it starts to come into play, and it's a fascinating space at the moment in terms of the use of artificial intelligence in assessment processes, particularly at the leadership level, gamification, which one also needs to look at quite carefully, and how you use that within the South African environment. It's all making that process a lot easier, more efficient, and more accurate for predicting potential within the business. Key to the whole process is integration. So a lot of organizations struggle with a process that isn't truly integrated in terms of understanding what do I look like and what do I look at in terms of an assessment or development process. How do I integrate this all very effectively in terms of the outcome that I want, and how through that process can I start to use data analytics effectively to make good talent decisions. So I think integration is a big differentiator in the assessment and the development space at the moment. We talk quite a bit about that. There's a lot of information on our website in terms of that and how that can help the efficiency of the assessment and the development and the talent process as well. And that also enables you to have a more efficient and effective team focusing specifically on identifying these particular areas. In the past, you needed a large assessment centre team and a large assessment centre operation to run it. These days, you need 1 or 2 people that have a very good understanding of the system, and their job becomes more understanding how to use the information to make critical business decisions and help the executives, take it forward from a recruitment to development and a talent perspective.
We are in the business of building high-performance companies and teams. And our interventions are largely based on research of why companies fail and the typical successful intervention strategies of how companies are being turned around and how you build sustainable businesses. And there are probably 5 key interventions to build a sustainable business based on about 13 that I've isolated through my research. And we work in those 5 areas, helping companies to transform their businesses, build sustainability. Research that I've read while delivering a paper at a conference in London, the previous speaker, that they interviewed 1,000 CEOs and say, what are your key challenges? What keeps you awake at night? The number 1 was, do I have a strong enough management team to manage the business into the future? The second one is, how do I attract the best talent? And the third one, this was sort of noted by 80 to 90% of the CEOs. The third aspect was mentioned by only 50%, and that's competitive advantage. So clearly, the focus is on talent management, it's human resources, it's performance management, it's building a viable culture that elicits behavior, that empowers the business value chain, and of course, redesign of business processes and digitizing the organization. Those are the main interventions. It's a pendulum that moved a bit too far to one side, because a while ago there was a lot of papers published on why is performance management broken and performance management systems don't work, and generally it was a year or 2 of communicating or venting frustrations about how we manage performance. And then companies all stopped using it and they changed it, and everybody jumped onto the bandwagon, no, we're not going to do performance management in this way. And then they burnt their fingers and they realized that you can't run a business without performance management. So I don't think anybody yet has the silver bullet for how we manage performance or the ultimate solution. But we've moved more towards a behaviorally based performance management system rather than purely output based. Because if people exhibit the right behaviors in the business, they're likely to achieve the right results. And we focus too much, mainly the balanced scorecard, focus too much on the outputs that we need to achieve, not the behavior that achieves them. Whereas if you get the right behavior, chances are you're going to produce the right output. And we've developed the systems, the computer systems, to actually manage performance in this new way.
I think I have observed how we underestimate the power of respect in terms of getting what we want in organizations. There's a research that was done by Georgetown University that shows the impact of disrespect to organizations, to employees. And people spend almost like 80% of the people who are disrespected. It actually trickles down to the amount or the quality of the work that they give in the workplace. And some of them even said that when they feel disrespected, they take it out on the customer and on clients. So for me, is that as leaders, we need to understand that even if you have a complex issue that you need to sort out, like the one that we are talking about of religion, just sit people around and let people talk. If people feel that they are respected, right? I didn't like the laughter inside the room, because it's like it just shows the extent to which we underestimate that something to me that is dear to me because it's my religion, to you it might be something not important. So we need to educate our people that respect in fact can get you much more than we think at the moment.
I think the focus was more to get some awareness around the functional capacity evaluations for HR practitioners, because they are, like I said in the presentation, they see the employees first, they see them in between and when they leave. So we would like to exchange some of our knowledge and experience and ideas. And this was for me a first, because I think I'm probably the only safety practitioner here, right? So it's a sharing and a knowledge sharing platform. But what I do think is we obviously cross lines in terms of what our relationships are, what our roles and responsibilities are. And it's a very, it's a deep topic. So it's not going to end here. We're going to have to bring in some more content. And obviously the issue around functional fitness crosses over from, females, gender and everything. On the aspect and the question that was asked, how do you fit this in with religion and all that? Like I said, that it's a dialogue issue. You've got to accommodate employees. You've got to discuss their discomfort or the issues around what they perceive as the requirements of the job. Like the gentleman said, look, they have a uniform and then people sometimes tamper with the uniform. And then what do you do when they put swatch stickers and stuff? But I think that's a discipline issue. That's more an issue where you need to discuss policies at the workplace. My issue is really that when employees are employed, they need to understand the functional demands of that position.
My name is Lokhanyiso Peter. I'm from Transnet. I did industrial psychology and sociology from the University of the Nelson Mandela Bay. I was nominated by my manager. And I remember the process he was going through, but I didn't think I would make it because I felt I didn't meet the criteria. But only when I got to sit down and actually explore and reflect on what I've achieved in the previous years and this year, then I actually saw that I have potential. I've been involved in many initiatives in the organization. Launching of our EVP, I was responsible for the PE region. I've been co-facilitating sessions on our leadership brand and culture, which we need to create new values. I've also managed to introduce or propose a non-financial recognition program for Transnet, organization-wide, and it was approved at first submission at HR Council. So that was a big achievement for me this year.
My name is Thomas Khadebe. I'm from UIF in Pretoria, and I got this award through determination and hard work, I must say, and my involvement in a number of projects at UIF really gave me an edge to really be recognized by IPM. I'm very thankful, guys, and thank you.
We are Sasol and the Sasol Energy team, and we've just won we are the runner-up for the HR Team of the Year. And our achievement was attaining a level 3 BBBEE certification for our business unit by optimizing our internal processes and putting in place a learnership program and a learnership pipeline, and just working together very hard with the team and the region and the group to achieve this success.
Hi, my name is Sibongile Antoni. I'm the head of HR for Learning and Development at Woolies. We're very excited to have received the award today, and I think it's through great partnership and collaboration that we have won. And I think recognition actually goes out to all our business partners, to all the line managers. It goes out to our external stakeholders that we partner with, i.e. the TVET colleges that we work with, the CETA, and government in general. So thank you so much for helping us to transform South Africa through education.
How does it feel to have a PhD at the age of 23?
It's actually very surreal still. And I haven't really come to terms with being called doctor. It's very strange. Like sometimes people have to call me more than once for me to respond to the title.
Okay. So, and what is the recipe?
The recipe, honestly, is dedication, perseverance, and also going on a journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
It's a perpetual journey. It's not something that you achieve overnight. But once you put your mind to something and you feel a reverberating gravitation towards a certain cause, then you can achieve anything pretty much.
And more or less, at what age did the vision start? Did you realize that vision, that you have to follow this particular journey and get right to the end of that journey?
I believe the vision came on while I was much younger, but as with most visions, it initially begins as a blur. You're not really sure exactly what the vision entails holistically. However, it's revealed to you in episodes. So through those episodes, you're able to identify that, okay, this is the channel that I'm following, this is what I need to pursue. Now, interestingly enough, when I was younger, I thought I'd be a medical doctor.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone used to call me Dr. Musa when I was younger, but they thought I'd pursue the field of medicine. And I did all sciences in high school, only after high school to change my mind, and I told my parents, I don't want to do medicine anymore.
Okay.
And then I ended up in industrial psychology and HR, which I believe was a very good fit for me. I
believe so. And lastly, how do you feel about this award from IPM, which is about people management, especially having taken that decision to do away with medicine and come to this field?
It's an absolute honor to receive this award, especially, coming from the CEO and being an inaugural CEO special award.
Yes.
It's something really profound and it's very endearing to me. So I'm so honored, I'm so humbled, and I'm so grateful to IPM for this recognition.
Thank you so much. IPM is also proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
My name is Pelma Porsche. I work for Tonga Chile. I recently joined them from Pick and Pay. So I was with Pick and Pay for about 2.5 years. And what is it that the team and I did for me to win this award? We transformed the HR function from a very transactional personal administration kind of a role or function to a strategic role that partnered with business to make sure that we listened to the heartbeat of the business and delivered programs that help to improve the bottom line of the business. Pick and Pay will never be the same because of the programs that we implemented with the team that I led there.
My name is Sandy Lekwela. I am the Group HR Executive for Aspen Pharmacare Holdings. And I've joined Aspen in January 2017, and I'm looking after HR globally. So this is for my team and it's also for my company. What has been exciting was to set a strategy and focus for human resources across all countries where we exist. We exist in about 52 countries globally. To have a single HR focus has been the most exciting thing for us. This is the second award. The first award that we received was internal, where I was given an award of being Executive of the Year for Aspen. So this has been exciting, and we're looking forward to deliver better value for human resources in general. And I wish everyone were successful here, and I hope we can add more value for HR in our country and also in our world. I thank you very much.
As Anglo Gold Ashanti, a mining company, a multinational mining organization, it's really exciting to be part of the winning team and with Tirelo as a leader. And we are truly saying she drives true leadership development throughout, from the board to the last person in the organization, and drives integrated talent management and also gender representation in the organization, from board level as well until the bottom levels of the organization. So we're really thrilled to have her as a winner. Thank you.
This is the big function for HR practitioners, where we learn and share experiences on how to do the modern HR functions and how HR can be a business partner to all organizations. I'm really thankful to the IPM for organizing such functions that are very, very important to all HR practitioners, and we encourage them to continue so that all our colleagues should benefit from this function. Thank you so much.